Oogenesis is the formation of female gamete, and follicular development is the development of ovarian follicles. As oogenesis and follicular development occur together, in this video I am going to tell you oogenesis along with the follicular development. Hey everyone, welcome back to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for daily updates. We have also started uploading all our content on website known as SlideShare. You can easily clip and download our slides from that website. I will also share the link of this video slides in the description box. So you can click on that link and you will be on the SlideShare. So with this we start our today's video, that is about the oogenesis as well as the follicular development. So oogenesis and follicular development, they occur simultaneously. That is why you can't deal these two topics separately. You have to talk about these two things simultaneously in order to gain the full clarity regarding the concept. And that is why I decided to make two parts of this video. In one part we just talk about up to the antral follicle, and in the coming part we will talk about the rest of the follicles. And with this stages of the follicular development, we will see that how the oogenesis is also happening simultaneously. So this is a video which gives you a lot of knowledge regarding the oogenesis and follicular development. So we know that oogenesis is a process of development of the female gamete, that is the ovum, and unlike the spermatogenesis, oogenesis starts in the fetal period. Spermatogenesis starts during the puberty, but oogenesis starts in the fetal life. So during the 4th week of the gestation, there are primordial germ cells which are actually present in the yolk sac of the embryo, and from the yolk sac they actually migrate to reach to the gonadal ridge, and there by the help of the mitosis, this primordial germ cells will become oogonia. Now oogonia are the germ cells that are going to form the primary oocyte, and that is why they enter into the meiosis 1. But here a very important point to remember is that these oogonia which has entered the meiosis 1, they are not able to complete this meiotic division 1, and they get arrested at the prophase. So up to 20th week we have so many, about 7 million oogonia present in a fetus, and that oogonia actually undergo the meiotic division to form the primary oocyte, but it gets arrested at the prophase of the first meiotic division. So we will talk about the stages of the follicular development. So ovarian follicle is a functional unit of ovary. So why we are saying that it is a functional unit of ovary? So ovary has actually two important functions. It has the endocrine function as well as it has the function of formation of gamete, that is the ovum. So both these functions are actually happening because of the ovarian follicle. The ovarian follicle is helping in the formation of the ovum, as well as it is secreting the follicular cells in the ovarian follicle is helping to secrete the ovarian steroids. So that is why we call that the ovarian follicle is a functional unit of ovary, and that is why it is important to study the follicular development, like what are the different stages which are there in the follicular development. So in this whole video, I am going to tell you about each follicular development stage, what is the structure of the follicle at that stage, what is the endocrine function of that follicle, and what is the stage of the gamete, or you can say whether it is a primary oocyte or secondary oocyte which is being present in this follicle. So we are dealing with the oogenesis as well as the follicular development. So let's start first with the primordial follicle. So primordial means what? Means the earliest and the simplest. So here also the primordial follicle is the earliest and the simplest, and it is formed in the fetal life. Okay, so we know that we have primary oocyte. This primary oocyte is actually gets surrounded by the pregranulosal cells to form a primordial follicle. Now various points are here which are very important to understand. Firstly, that primordial follicles are the ovarian reserve. Why? Because they contains the oocyte. The number of the primary oocyte is actually being decided, it's fixed in the fetal life itself. After the birth of the child, there is no longer formation of the oocyte. Oocyte is fixed. The number of the primordial follicle is also get fixed. So definitely the lifespan, the reproductive lifespan of a woman will depend upon the number of these primordial follicles. As well as the primordial follicle has two options. It can undergo either into the atresia or it can go into the deployment. Atresia means what? The destruction of the follicle. So about 7 million follicles are get formed, but only about 300,000 follicles are present at the time of puberty. So you can assume that from 7 million to 300,000 million there is reduction. Why? Because of the follicular atresia, there is reduced in the primordial follicle number. So follicle can either go into the atresia or it can go into the growing phase. So depending the rate of undergoing the atresia or undergoing in the growth phase, it will determine the lifespan of the woman, the reproductive lifespan of the woman. Now the question arises that the rate at which the primordial follicles enter the growth phase. Growth phase means what? The primordial follicle then form the primary follicle, secondary follicle, antral follicle, and so on. So who will decide that this follicle will going to have a growth phase? So it is decided by the paracrine factors which are released by the follicle cells and by the oocyte. There is no role here of pituitary gonadotropes in estimating the rate at which the follicle will go or enter in the growth phase. So this is a structure of a follicle, primordial follicle. So this is a primary oocyte. Now this is a germinal vesicle. Germinal vesicle is basically the intact nucleus of the primary oocyte, and it has a nucleolus also. This is a cell membrane of the primary oocyte, and this is surrounded by a single layer of the pregranulosa cell. Okay, so pregranular cell is basically the epithelial cell, so it has a basal lamella. Okay, so this is the structure of a primordial follicle. So now you can understand that why I am considering the follicular development as well as the oogenesis together, because oocyte is present inside the follicle. Okay, now here the gamete is the primary oocyte, which has been arrested at the prophase, the diploiding stage of the prophase 1 of the meiotic division 1. Now it is obvious that why there is arrest? Why there is arrest? Because the proteins which are required to complete the meiosis are not present here. They are deficient, like the cyclin B, CDK1. These are the proteins which are required to complete the meiosis, but these is absent. So if they are absent, what will happen? There will be arrest of the meiosis. Now the second type of the follicle is a pre-antral follicle, means the follicles which are formed before the antral follicle, and here there are two follicles, the primary and the secondary. So first we will talk about the structure, then the gamete, and then their endocrine function. So here in this diagram it is showing the primary and then the secondary follicle. So above there was a primordial follicle. Now the primordial follicle decides to undergo the growth phase. It is not going into the follicular atresia, it is going in the growth phase. So now in the growth phase, what will happen? The primary follicle will be categorized by the presence of the cuboidal granulosa cells. In the primordial follicle, there was which type of the cells? They were about flat perigranulosa cells. Here there will be a presence of the cuboidal granulosa cells, and it confirms the presence of it confirms the what? It confirms the primary follicle. Now here one more layer is there which is present between the granulosa cells and the oocyte. This layer is called as the zona placidosa. So what is zona placida? Zona placidua is basically an extracellular matrix glycoprotein which is being secreted by the oocyte. So this matrix has the glycoprotein ZB1, ZB2 and ZB3, and this is the layer which is responsible for the species specific sperm binding. So this layer ensures that the sperm of the human will go and bind to the oocyte of the female. That means human sperm will bind the human ovum. So that is ensured by the zona placidua. Okay, the species specific sperm binding site is basically because of the presence of the zona placidua, which is being secreted by the primary oocyte, okay, in the primary follicle. Now, how the secondary follicle is found? Now this granulosa cells, they start proliferating, and they start proliferating to form a stratified layer. Means there will be many layers of the granulosa cells. Okay, so there is primary oocyte, the cell membrane of the primary oocyte, zona placidua, then many layers of the granulosa cells, the basement membrane, and then these granulosa cells, as their number get increased, they will start increasing some factors that lead to the proliferation of the surrounding stroma cells into the theca cells. So these are what? These are the theca cells which get formed by the proliferation of the surrounding stroma cells. Okay. So once a theca cell forms, the follicle is referred to as a mature pre-antral follicle. So we have a mature pre-antral follicle, we have a primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle, then mature pre-antral follicle. Now this mature pre-antral follicle will move from the outer cortex to the inner cortex to get the more better blood supply. Okay, it releases some kind of endogenous factors which leads to the formation of many arterioles, and that lead to a formation of a vascular arrangement around the follicle, ensuring very good supply to the follicle. So why it is happening? What is the reason behind it? The reason is very simple. Now the follicle needs to start its endocrine function. The follicles don't have any duct system. They are dependent on the blood. So there must be an adequate blood supply to these follicles. Only then they can release their hormone. They can be affected by the pituitary gonadotropins. That is why they need to be ensured that there should be a good blood supply to these follicles. Okay, so gamete is here what? The primary oocyte. Okay, there is no change. They right now they are also arrested at the prophase 1 only, and they secrete the glycoprotein to form a zona placidua. It provides a species specific sperm binding site. The endocrine function is that here is what? The granulosa cell has the FSH receptor and the theca cell has the LH receptor, but their function is not being started now. Their function is not started. They are not secreting ovarian hormones at this stage. It is an early stage of the follicular growth. That is why at this time they are not forming any significant amount of the ovarian hormones. So with this we move on to the next type of the follicle, which is the antral follicle. So antral follicle means what? Antral means the cavity. So there is appearance of the antral cavity in the follicle, and that is why we say that we have an antral follicle. So up to now we don't have any follicle inside. We don't have any cavity inside the follicle. Now we have a follicle. So what is happening here? That the pre-antral follicle increase in size and the fluid gets enter inside the follicle and they form the antrum cavity. So there is formation of an antrum cavity. This is the antral cavity because of the entry of the fluid inside the follicle, and actually this leads to the separation of the granulosa cells. Okay, some of the granulosa cells on the inner side of this antral cavity, and some of the follicles are on some of the granulosa cells are on the outside of this antral cavity. Okay, and that is why the granulosa cells, they get differentiated into the two layers. The one which is present on the outer side of the antral cavity is called as the mural granulosa cells, and the one which is present on the inner side of this antral cavity is called as the cumulus cells, cumulus ooporus. Okay, So there is 100-fold increase in the granulosa cells. The granulosa cell size gets increased, the swelling gets increased, the diameter increases very abruptly, and this leads to the discrimination, the division of the granulosa cells into the two discrete populations, the mural granulosa cells and the cumulus cells. Now, a very important thing which is remember here is that I will discuss this further when I talk about the follicular development during the menstrual cycle, that the follicular recruitment as well as the selection of the follicle, the dominant follicle will depend on the FSH. The FSH has a function of deciding of recruiting the follicles as well as of deciding which follicle is gonna be dominant follicle. So dominant follicle means what? That this follicle will gonna release the ovum in the future. So that is a function of the FSH. So here this function gets start. Now these antral follicles, their growth depend upon the FSH. Okay, and these antral follicles, when their diameter is only 2 to 3 micrometer, they start recruiting by the help of the FSH. Then their growth increases, and based on their growth, the selection of the dominant follicle will be there. So what is the gamete? The gamete will be the again here the gamete will be what? The primary oocyte only. But here during the antral stage, what will happen? The primary oocyte, it increases in the size and it actually synthesizes the proteins which are required to complete the cell cycle. All the proteins which are required to complete the meiosis will be synthesized. So they will be competent to complete their meiosis one. But again, but here the arrest is still present. They are being arrested, and this arrest is released by the help of the LH surge. LH surge means what? There will be abrupt increase in the level of the LH hormone, which leads to the ovulation. So at the ovulation, the meiotic division 1 gets completed. Although the oocyte, the primary oocyte, is having all the proteins which are required to complete the meiosis 1, but they are still in the they are still kept at the arrest, because that arrest will be released only when there is LH surge. Okay, so now we talk about the mechanism of the meiotic arrest, that why there is arrest of the meiosis even though the cell has synthesized all the proteins which are required to complete the meiosis, but still it is being arrested. So we need to know how the LH surge is actually releasing the cell from the meiotic arrest. So meiotic arrest is basically because of the increased levels of the cyclic AMP, and LH surge will actually degrade this increased level of the cyclic AMP. So what is happening, that through the help of the gap junctions which are exiting between the granulosa cells and the oocytes and between the theca cells, the cyclic GMP is being transported via the help of the gap junctions to these cells, to the oocytes. There has been transmission of the cyclic GMP from the granulosa cells and from the theca cells by the help of the gap junctions. Now this cyclic GMP will actually cause the inhibition of the enzyme phosphodiesterase 3A. So phosphodiesterase 3A is specific enzyme of the oocyte, and it causes the degradation of cyclic AMP to form the AMP. So as there is degradation of the cyclic, as there is degradation of this phosphodiesterase 3A enzyme, the cyclic AMP will not be degraded. There will be a high levels of the cyclic AMP, which cause a meiotic arrest. Okay, so cyclic AMP is responsible for the meiotic arrest, and cyclic GMP, which is being transferred to the oocyte via the gap junctions, is causing the degradation of phosphodiesterase, so that there could be a high level of the cyclic AMP in the oocytes. But when a LH surge happens, LH surge will actually go and decrease the cyclic GMP transfer by the gap junctions, and hence if there is no cyclic GMP, what will happen? There will be no inhibition or no degradation of phosphodiesterase 3A. So the cyclic AMP will be converted into the AMP. There will be a degradation of the cyclic AMP, and hence there will be a decrease in the level of the cyclic AMP, and there will be release of the meiotic arrest. So this is the mechanism. And now we will move on to the endocrine function of the antral follicles. So from here, the endocrine functions came into role. You have to remember that the granulosa cells, they have the FSH receptor, and the theca cell has the LH receptor. So in this diagram, this is the granulosa cell and this is the theca cells, and they have been well separated by the help of the basal lamina. Though they have the gap junctions, but they are separated by the help of basal lamina. And you can see here also that there is a very good blood supply to these cells in order to keep ensuring their endocrine function. So what is happening, that we first talk about the theca cell. So theca cell has the LH receptor. Through the blood, the LH has came, it will bind to the LH receptor. Now through that, what will happen, there will be because LH hormone wants to synthesize more and more steroid hormones, what will happen, the all rate limiting steps which are in the synthesis of the steroid hormones are present, they increase that. Okay, so the rate limiting step is first the uptake of the cholesterol. So that is being increased by increasing the expression of the LDLR receptor and HDLR receptor. So by that, the cholesterol transport has been increased. Then the another enzyme, which is the side chain cleavage enzyme, which is the rate limiting enzyme in the synthesis of the pregnant one, that is a precursor of all the steroid hormones, will also get increased, and the expression of all the steroidogenic enzymes will be increased. But here the theca cells has one problem, or you can say it has one feature, that it doesn't have that 17 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, and because of that, what will happen, the main hormone, the main product which is being secreted by the theca cell is not the testosterone, but it is the androstenedione. Okay, because there is no 17 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. Now this androstenedione is secreted either into the circulation or through the help of the gap junctions, it will enter into the granulosa cells. Now granulosa cells have what? They have a FSH receptor. FSH came and bind to the FSH receptor. This FSH binding to the FSH receptor will cause increase in the expression of the enzyme called as a aromatase. Cytochrome 19 is basically the aromatase enzyme, and because of that, the androstenedione, which is being transported from the theca cells to the granulosa cell, will be converted into the main female sex hormone, that is the estradiol 17 beta. So this is called as a two-cell model. Why? Because there are two cells, the two gonadotropins. Two gonadotropins are the LH and the FSH. Two cells are the theca cells and the granulosa cells, and together they are ensuring that there is high level of the estrogen which is being secreted. So this point I will more clear when I talk about the physiology of menstrual cycle. In that we will talk about the follicular development. So in the follicular development, mainly there is high level of the estrogen hormone. Why? Because of this two cell gonadotropin theory. Okay, so another point which is here very important, that the FSH is going to decrease FSH is also increasing the expression of the LH receptor on the granulosa cells. Okay, so this point again I will clear when I will talk about the recruitment of the follicles, their selection in the coming video. Okay, so with this we reach at the end of this video. If you like this video, please like, share and comment. Comment down your suggestions for the upcoming video. Whatever you want to clarify, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can let me know any of our official pages. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Also, you can check all our slides on the SlideShare. Till then, keep learning.